Hi, I'm Rik Mack, and I'm a comics maker who sometimes works on IDW Comics. And you're listening to the SEGA Lounge. I'm definitely not a penguin.
Welcome to the SEGA Lounge, where we celebrate our love for all things SEGA, including the games, the music, and the community. I'm your host, KC. Join me as I talk to different guests and learn more about their projects and passion for SEGA. Hey there, loungers! It's episode 219 of the SEGA Lounge, and we are officially in May, which is our anniversary month. So, in case you've missed the announcement on last week's show, we've got new 10th anniversary merch on our website, thesegalounge.com. Throughout the month, it'll also be discounted, so if you're interested in supporting the show that way, May is a great month to get some official TSL merch. So head over to thesegalounge.com/support and click the merch section. Also, just one more thing, did you happen to miss last week's live show? It's available for your listening and or watching pleasure on our website. I was joined by Skill Jim, Lime, and Viper, and among other things, we came up with the definitely not definitive top 10 list of most iconic SEGA characters. Controversial, perhaps, but I think we did a pretty good job in being impartial and objective. Check it out at thesegalounge.com/218. Well then, how about this week's show? This week, I have the pleasure of welcoming into the lounge Rik Mack, artist extraordinaire who's been working, among other things, on IDW Sonic comic. We have a great conversation about his love for SEGA growing up, the big influence of Fleetway Sonic the comic from the UK, and how he ended up fulfilling his dream of working on a Sonic comic despite the odds. I hope you have as much fun listening as we had recording. Hello, Rik. Welcome to the SEGA Lounge. Hello.
I love what you've done with the place.
Thank you very much. It's not a space station like it used to be.
Those are really expensive to upkeep, I hear.
I don't know if many of our listeners get the joke. Shall we start with that, by the way? Because I don't know many. We aired that actually, I think, a few years ago. But there was a time where you considered hosting a Radio SEGA show, right?
Yeah, we have history, if some hidden Radio SEGA lore for the people who didn't catch my one-time half pilot. But yeah, I recorded a pilot show, which I wanted to do. I was in talks with, I think, both you and later Viper, but for whatever reason, at the time I went to set it up, my computer just would not run any DJ software, and I couldn't get half of the programs to work, and it still bugs me. I still want to do it, and I'm hoping that when I get my next computer, it won't use a terrible version of Windows 10 that doesn't run things properly. I'm still mad about that. I like that pilot.
We can help you set up anytime. Yeah, things are much easier now, I think, than back in the day. So yeah, so it's a pleasure to have you on the SEGA Lounge. You've moved up in the world since we connected back in the day, like in Radio SEGA chat during shows and stuff. But so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But obviously you're a big SEGA fan, and that's why you're here. Would you like to tell us how that started? How your experience with video games and SEGA specifically started?
So basically, I think as with most people, when I was very, very young, my parents decided I was too annoying to deal with, so they bought me a console and put me in a room and said, go on, entertain yourself with that. I originally got an NES, and my sister got a Mega Drive. And of course, it was bigger and flashier and cooler, so I was obsessed with it. And then eventually she gave up in a couple of years and gave it to me because, she wasn't really interested in consoles. And then it was mine. And then, I just all the time sneaking into the room to steal it, to play it for a bit and hooking it up and, playing the games, and every Christmas bugging for something and getting, games here and there. it was just the coolest thing ever. I like to say I was around before Sonic 1, and that was when it all went downhill because, I got hold of Sonic 1, and now I was a lifer at that point. There was no escape.
Excellent, excellent. Did you enjoy your NES as well before
I did.
you? Yeah.
I had more NES games, and they were a little like more varied. Like basically everything I had on the Mega Drive early on was arcade ports, like big flashy actiony games. And then some of the stuff I had on the NES was I had like Sid Meier's Pirates, which was like a really slow open world kind of game, and some stuff like that. So it wasn't all just the same thing on both consoles, which I always found really interesting.
Mm,
So every now and then I do go back to Nintendo for certain things, but like it's Sega all the way.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I find it interesting because I only had access to the Mega Drive onwards, and in Sega, so I find it interesting that some people had access to both worlds, like the best of both worlds. So it's probably, yeah, that's a better experience, I guess. Although Sega, obviously is like the up there, but if you get to experience Nintendo as well, why not? Right?
I was really lucky as a kid. We had neighbors like who had different consoles and things like that. Like I actually knew somebody who had a Spectrum. I knew somebody who had a Commodore.
Hmm.
I got to play like the Amiga when that was relatively new. So I'd played everything, and even though it wasn't just biased because I had a Sega, but I was way more entertained by all of that. Like I'd go and play PC games, like old Atari games and stuff, and I was like,
Hmm.
nah. So I did get to try, like growing up, I've played all kinds of bizarre stuff that I couldn't remember the name of, and then you see YouTube retrospectives, and you go, "Oh, that was a Spectrum game. I didn't realize I played a Spectrum when I was a kid."
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I only just recently, like a few years ago, realized there was a memory like deeply hidden in the back of my mind, that I probably had some sort of Pong like machine growing up before the Mega Drive. But I think it was like some sort of YouTube video as well that like made that memory resurface. Something
I
clicked.
remember having. I think it was like a steering wheel and like and a
Mm.
screen which had like I guess like a rotating cylinder in it, which made it look like a car was driving. And I think it might actually have been like a outrun machine, like a little
Oh.
like a home version of Outrun, but it was like a very limited, like a Tiger handheld
Oh
almost
yeah,
kind of
yeah, like sort of
thing.
like a black and white screen. Not even black and white,
I
like
think it was like two colors, and there was a cylinder that would like rotate, and you would just turn the wheel to make the car move left and right, but it was like a belt scrolling kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah,
had no
yeah.
idea until like last year that was like Outrun related, maybe. And I was like, wait, what, really? It's like,
So the
no.
Sega roots run deep. Yeah,
Yeah, if that turns out to
definitely.
be a fan made thing and somebody's trolling me, then I fell for it.
April Fools. Yeah.
Yeah, but I had one of those as a kid, apparently.
Excellent, excellent. And so growing up, and after the Mega Drive, did you stick with Sega all the way through, or did you just like branch out to other stuff as well?
I missed the Saturn, although I had a buddy up the street who owned that, so I got to play like Fighting Vipers and Knights and things like that when they were coming out. And
Hmm.
then when I think at a certain point I started making my own money, so I was like, okay, I can spend money on what I want. I'm buying a Dreamcast. And
Yeah.
so I have very strong ties to the Dreamcast because I remember walking through like a strip mall and seeing Soul Calibur and just going like, I'm buying that. I don't care what it is. And I walked over and was like, wait, it's a Sega game. Okay, now I know why it looks good. I'm in.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, lots of people have this experience. Somehow they skip the Saturn. That I skipped that entire generation, the Saturn and PlayStation, and then bought the Dreamcast with my own money, like as my first like properly purchased console with my own money, which is something that I hold
Yeah,
dear
I
to my
kind of
heart.
like I skipped the Super Nintendo, but then I picked up
Okay.
The N64. So I kind of went
Oh.
left and right and left and right.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, like I had a buddy with a PlayStation 1 and we played everything on that, but I never had the inclination to buy one. And then it was like PlayStation 2 is coming out. I'm like, no, man, Dreamcast.
Did you end up getting a PS2 later or no?
I've got one now, but
Oh.
that's sort of the thing is like once you hit super disposable income and PlayStation 2s are super cheap, like I mean, I
Yeah.
bought an original Xbox a couple of years ago, and I have no reason other than just I need to have everyone. So it's like, okay,
Awesome. Awesome.
like,
Okay, so if I had to like put you on the spot right here right now, can you do like a top 3 games of all time?
oh, of all time for the Mega Drive or for everything.
Everything.
Oh,
Unless you
you're
want to
starting
be
with the easy ones.
unless you want to be specific and like give me one for each platform. But you don't have to.
For each platform. Okay, so let's go easy. For the NES, it's going to be Mario 3, Sid Meier's Pirates, that's entirely biased, and same with Mega Man 4, which is entirely biased because I had
Okay.
those three as a kid, and those are absolutely
Okay.
fantastic. For the Mega Drive, whew, there's so
That's
I can hear
somehow
people
harder.
I can hear people getting mad if I even so much as say the phrase Sonic Spinball. So I'm gonna pivot
Oh, really?
and say
No, no, no.
Sonic 2.
No, please do. Please say Sonic Spinball.
I'm one of the few people I know who not only really likes that game, but I can breeze through it, and I don't know what it is. Like I can sit down and just run through that in one go, and people are like, "No, this game is too random. You bounce off the walls." I'm like, "No, man, you can. If you know what you're doing, you can get through that pretty quick until you get to the last stage.
Mm.
In which case, those rocket boosters just ugh. Anyway." I'm going to go with Sonic 2, my controversial pick, because I think Sonic 2 is the best of the series.
Okay.
I'm going to put Comic Zone in there just because if I have to pick any fighting game, any belt scroller, sorry Golden Axe, sorry Streets of Rage, I'm very sorry Streets of Rage 2, but I'm going to have to go with Comic Zone.
Mm-hmm.
And then for soundtrack alone, I'm taking Thunder Force 4.
Oh, that's a great soundtrack.
Because I couldn't live in a world without Thunder Force 4's soundtrack.
Great pick. So what I heard was Sonic Spinball, Comic Zone, and Thunder Force 4. Got it. Got it. Yes.
Sonic Spinball's options music, yes, all day.
Yeah, I have started to appreciate Sonic Spinball a little bit more in recent years. Going back to it, I think I borrowed it from a friend growing up, and I played it like once or twice, and I was like, "Why? What's this? This is not Sonic. Why?" They told me it
I
was Sonic.
probably have I probably have Stockholm syndrome because as a kid I didn't actually own any Sonic games aside from Spinball and Flicky's Island, and I'm
Oh,
pretty sure that's damaged me somehow. I don't like Flicky's Island, but I love Spinball. But the Flicky's Island fix that was released by the dev recently
yeah,
fixes so much of that. So it's like if we'd had that version back then, yes.
yeah. The
I'm
director's cut. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's
I'm still mad that nobody's done the same thing for Spinball. Like fan game community, Sage, like where are you at, guys? I want a Spinball ROM hack. I want a physics fix. I want just something, guys. Come on.
hashtag save Sonic Spinball.
Yeah, don't make me beg.
Fix Sonic Spinball.
Yeah. Spinball HD. Come on, we got a Triple Trouble remake. Somebody give us something for Spinball, please. We got a Drift remake. Come on.
That's true. That's true. Noah. I was gonna say Noah Copeland do it, but he's moved from that now. He's doing like he's working on his own original IP now. So, but maybe someone else
Honestly,
can take it on, take this
as
project
much as
on.
I love fan games, as much as I love fan projects, and as much as I love seeing people like things like the Triple Trouble remake, if you can go original IP, guys. Like
Yeah,
it
for sure.
is. I would rather play like a Spark or a Freedom Planet than another ROM hack because you guys are putting the work and you're putting in the hours, and you can't build off that. You
Yeah,
can't sell it. You can't brand it. You can't branch out. You can't make your own studio and go like I know Taxman and Stealth, yeah. But like come out of the gate with a Freedom Planet or a Spark. Like you can do it.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Does it?
I think
You
it's a
know?
great thing that they can actually try their hand at this at game dev somehow with Sage and stuff like that, with ROM hacks and fan games. But I agree. At some point, just like try to do your own thing. You'll
Yeah.
probably
Do like one stage in a Sonic fan game, and then once you know how to do a stage, that's it. Jump ship, make a fan game, make a new game with like 10 stages or 9 stages or whatever, and go nuts.
yeah,
And
yeah,
just give us something good. Like, did you see Polyroll? I know
yeah.
that's not the same thing, but Polyroll is great. It's like a love letter to the Master System Sonic games.
Indeed,
And
indeed. Yeah.
I want
We
to see stuff
actually
like
we had
that.
the devs. That was like the first episode when we brought this show back as like a podcast. Was the Polyroll fans, the Polyroll devs actually. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm sure that the devs are fans of the game.
Yeah, it's, I'm sure, but yeah, but you're entirely right. It's like a love letter to the 8-bit games, not like the 16-bit games, but the
Yeah,
8-bit, the Master System and Game Gear games, and it really is a really great game. Yeah, definitely, people should
I
check it
blitzed through that
out.
in like one night and just I got all the achievements and I was like, "Where's the rest? I want to play again." So I just literally just started it up again. I'm like, "Let's go."
I remember I still have like PTSD from one of those. What were they called? Like the temples, right? Something temples. I think. No,
Yeah,
palaces. I think that there were like bonus stages, palaces perhaps. There was one that was extremely difficult, at least for me, because I suck at games. It's like a well-known fact. But I still remember there was a specific one. I got in touch with them and said, what is wrong here? And they said, no, wait until you get to the next one. And the next one I thought it was pretty easy. I thought I was breezed through it. And they were like, "You're weird." I know.
is that what this show is? You just bring people on to like air out personal grievances. We're like, "Hey, I'd love to have you on the show, but what was with stage 5? Explain yourselves now."
Speaking of which, so what's wrong with like that
Uh
IDW
oh.
Sonic comic? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so but you still owe me a few top threes, at least for Sega platforms. Dreamcast, I think, is needed a top three
Oh,
for Dreamcast.
Dreamcast? Okay, let's see. Shenmue, I'm counting 1 and 2
Good
as
job.
the same game for the Dreamcast because I was up in the PAL regions and
Exactly.
we were allowed to carry our saves over. And so, as far as I'm concerned, that's one game.
That's what I do.
I
Yes.
got to take all my little, I got to take all my little minifigures from Japan to China. It was glorious. And then, okay, Sonic Adventure 1, obviously.
Mhm.
It's too easy to just go with Soul Calibur. I cut my teeth on Ikaruga on the Dreamcast, and Ikaruga's a really good one.
Okay.
Oh, I still remember actually like playing Ikaruga in my school. We had a common room. We had a Dreamcast set up, and everybody would
Awesome.
have Soul Calibur tournaments all the time. It was fantastic. And
Nice.
then we had a challenge where nobody thought anybody could beat Ikaruga. So there was every time anybody got to like stage 4, there was a huge crowd started gathering as people were like, "Wait, really? Could somebody actually do this?"
Yeah.
If you think the final boss of that game is tense, do it with like 20 people breathing down your neck, yelling at you when to switch color. Oof.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because Ikuruga has got that great mechanic. You have to switch between black and white, right? Like when you switch the
For the
other
last
color,
boss,
bullets don't hit you, don't hurt you.
yeah. If you're black, you absorb black bullets and white and vice
Yeah,
versa. But for the last boss, it's literally just black, white, black, white, black,
yeah.
white while you're dodging. And if you don't, and it's the spongy shoulder triggers on the Dreamcast controller too. And if you don't hit them at the right time, oof.
Awesome. Great memories.
But yeah,
Great
I'll go with
memories.
those three.
Okay, okay. Those are some great
Let's
picks, I
see.
think. Yeah.
What else we got?
Awesome.
Sega Saturn. Sega
Yeah.
Saturn. I'm gonna
Sure.
go with Christmas Nights because I'm cheating. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Die Hard Arcade because we had a like on maybe Virtua Cop. Oh, tricky actually. I remember Die Hard Arcade being good, but like I also remember playing a lot of Virtua Cop.
Hmm.
And then the easy option is to pick Fighting Vipers, but I'm not as well versed on the Saturn. I never really went back. I know there was a really good fan translation of Bulk Slash recently.
Oh
I
yeah.
say recently; it was probably about like 2-3 years ago now, knowing me. But every time something like that comes out, I'm like, I want to go back, but I never managed to pick up a Saturn because I was always holding out for a Japanese one, and unfortunately, prices here skyrocketed before I was able to pick one up. And then the way the whole scene went, it's easier to just get one and get a IDE disc replacement reading thing, and then blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not condoning anything.
I am. Yeah.
Well, it's your show. I'm going to stay on the straight and narrow. I don't want Sega chasing me down for playing Bulk Slash in English in
Oh yeah. Yeah.
2024.
Yeah. I have no contractual obligations of any sort. So yeah.
But you have Sega in the title of the show. What if they come round?
Yeah,
Excuse
what?
me, sir.
I don't know. I don't know. I won't open the door for them. Like if they come knocking, no, no, no one's here. Go away.
Are you Sega lawyers? Come in on the show. I could use a guest. Come and sit down.
Well,
So, how many people do you muscle every week?
let me just set up a mic real quick. Okay, so
So, do
Rick.
you guys fight with the Nintendo ninjas? How does that work? Turf wars?
So let's talk about your more artistic background then. When did you realize you were good at drawing?
I still haven't. No, I ink other people's work. That's what I do. Everybody else is good at drawing. I'm just a tracer. That's all. That's
Okay.
how I get away with it. I hide in the shadow of those who are far, far better than I am.
So
I've always been drawing as a little kid, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it all started as I think it did with a couple of us with Fleetway Sonic the comic.
Hmm.
Britain had a really good comic book scene way back when I was growing up with stuff like the Dandy and the Beano, and then like 2000 AD and Sonic the comic and Fleetway and things like that. And I was always interested in drawing, but I never really put any solid time into it. So I was always like, like in the early 2000s, I was making web comics that weren't really going anywhere. I was playing with like digital artwork and like learning how to scan pages into Photoshop and not have all the paper texture ruin everything. And when digital inking came along and I could buy, I still remember going into a PC World store and asking for a drawing tablet, and everybody in there just looking at me like I was crazy, saying, that's not a thing that exists. And I was explaining, it's a little piece of plastic. You have a pen and you draw on the pen and it appears on the screen. And the guy's like, they don't exist. That technology doesn't exist. I'm like, yes, it does. Like,
You're like starting to
like,
question yourself. Did I come from the future?
yeah, I was like, okay, maybe it's got a different name because a tablet sounds like a weird thing to call it. And now everybody
Yeah.
with an iPad calls it a tablet. And so now when I'm looking for a tablet, it's impossible because I have to filter out everything that's not a drawing tablet instead. So people are like, just use a brand name, look for a Cintiq or look for a Huon or whatever they're called now. And it's like, no, but so when I was young, it wasn't a drawing tablet. And now that I'm old, it's not a drawing tablet either. Not amused. But yeah, so I always used to play with stuff like that, and it wasn't until relatively recently, like a couple of years ago, that I actually was able to start putting some time into it. And I had a goal when Archie still had the Sonic license.
Hmm.
I was saying like, I'm gonna go and get a job at Archie. That was my thing. I'm gonna give myself like a year or so. I'm gonna gun for Archie. I'm gonna do a bunch of Sonic stuff, and I'm gonna figure out how to get into comics finally. Because for the past few years, I was running a comic book store, and I wanted to work there because I thought this will help me get into comics, and it didn't. It helped me run a store. So I was very good at running a store and ordering comic books, and I was surrounded by people who got to make them. But my goal originally was, if I work in this store and I make my own book, when I do that, I can just put it on the shelf next to all the real comic books and sell it as an indie author. And then 5 or 6 years down the line, I'm running a comic book store. Like, this is never happening. I got to make a change here. So I took the plunge. I took a year out. I realized very quickly that there was no chance of meeting editors in Toronto. Although there's a lot of comics and there's a big scene for it here, I was gunning for Archie, and they didn't really have like the traditional method is go to a comic book convention, take a portfolio, go bother the editors, wave it in their face, and say, "Hey, look at this. Give me a job, okay?" And unfortunately for me, I couldn't do it because I wasn't willing to fly to New York or San Diego just to get a portfolio review from an editor. So I kind of just kept I kept grinding away. Ian Flynn, the writer of the Archie and current IDW Sonics sometimes, or for the most part, does live in Toronto and does conventions here. So one year I did corner him, the poor guy, at a convention. Like, Ian, look at my portfolio. And he kind of looked, he was very polite. He gave me some feedback. He gave me a sample script to work on, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna polish my portfolio. I'm gonna find a way to email it to Archie, and then poof,
Yeah.
Archie Sonic was no more. And I was like, well, back to work at the comic book store. I guess that's what I'm doing. But through I think it was like a year or two, I think, in between uh, Archie and IDW, I kept at it, and I was like, okay, I don't know who's going to pick up the license, but there's no way that somebody isn't. So I just kept at it, and I just kept drawing and practicing, and I got involved in all the fan community stuff. I was working on a couple of fan comics, like taking whatever jobs people needed, if they needed a letterer or a inker, penciler, colorist, whatever it took, just getting stuck in and helping out. And then eventually, when IDW did get the license and they started, looking for people, I had a portfolio that was full of random bits and pieces. So they were like, "Well, we're not looking for a penciler right now." I'm like, "It's okay. Look, I have inks." And they're like, "Well, we're not looking for an inker right now." I'm like, "Look, I have colors." And they're like, and eventually, I was like, I managed to get in contact with the editor over email because nobody comes to Toronto really, uh, and they were like, "Okay, we don't need anybody for Sonic right now." I was like, "Okay." And then he emailed me a couple of weeks later, just going, "Well, we do have some need for Transformers. Can you do Transformers?" I was like, "No." But of course, you don't ever say that, right?
Yeah, of
He's like,
course,
"Would
yeah.
you like to work on Transformers?" And my brain just goes, "I get to work on like a real, actual comic book? Yes. What do you need? Which arm do you want me to saw off? I will do this. Like, sign me up. Let's go." So thankfully, due to somebody, I think it was an issue of they were running late on something, trying to get the book out on time because I think it was like an extra large issue, and so
Okay.
they needed some help, and they were like, "Quick, anybody can help." And I think because I messaged David Marriott, who was the editor at the time, the Sonic editor, and also on Transformers, was saying he's like, "I know you wanted to work and you were willing to do basically anything, but it's not Sonic. Are you still willing to help out?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." Right? Like I'm as much as I want to work on Sonic, I just like helping out and working on stuff. So I got stuck in, and then a couple of months later, they were like, "Well, it's only fair we let you do something you pick instead of super complicated, very highly detailed Transformers pages, which were very tricky to work on."
Yeah, I
It's
can
so
imagine
funny.
that,
Like
right? Yeah. That's probably not a very easy gig in terms of
it's a
like
bunch of
detail.
robots that. Like the way I had to explain it to somebody is one of these robots had a fighter jet for like a shoulder, and that's like part of him. So can you draw a fighter jet attacking a truck underground with a drill dozer and explode? I have no idea how the artists for that book do what they do. Like I was just looking at the pre-done artwork and having to like ink the pencils, and even I was like, I don't know how you conceive of staging these fight scenes or these like where you put everything and how you decide what goes where, and it's so intense. And then afterwards, they were like, "Do you want to work on Sonic?" And I saw the pages, and I was like, "This is so much simpler." Like, I mean, it's tricky in its own way because you have to be on model, and it's like there's deceptively simple things like drawing The Simpsons, right? Anybody can tell you The Simpsons look easy to draw, and they are not. And it's similar with Sonic, right? Anybody knows what Sonic looks like, but you try and draw a Sonic that looks like an official Sega Sonic, it is much more difficult than you think it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but looking at the sheer line density of the average Sonic page compared to a Transformers free for all in an exploding underground cavern, it's a slight difference.
Yeah. Fairly simpler.
Yeah, yeah. When and plus when I first started, I didn't know what I was doing. I was so slow, and I was panicking. I was spending like days on pages, and now I can do a page or two in a day. It's like this. I'm a lot better now.
Hmm.
I feel bad for the guys when they first hit me up to help out, and they were like, "Can you do 6 pages?" I think they were like, "Can you do 9 pages?" And I did one. I was like, "No, maybe six." And I'm sorry, like it's taking me like 12 hours to do one page, and my arm's on fire, and oh,
Were you that honest, or just like,
at first
yeah?
at first, yeah, like they asked me like how many pages can you do? Like we have nine, I think, or 9 or 8. They were like that we need doing. Can you do them? And I said sure. And then I was like, but let me do the first one and figure out an average rather than say yes straight away. I was like, can I?
Okay.
I want to be honest and say I'll sign on for 9, but let me do one or two. And if I can do, and if I because I think we had a week or something like that, and I was like, if I can do it a page a day, sure. And after like the first page or two, I was like, unfortunately, like this is way too complicated for me. Like, and I was just starting out, right? And I didn't want to do a bad job. So I was
Hmm.
being
Hmm.
really finicky and really like detail oriented, which was slowing me down even more. But I wanted to do a good job, and I think I did, which is why I think they hit me up again afterwards.
Sure. Yeah.
But
So for
but that was
people,
hectic.
listening in, and just for them, because I understand everything about this world. But can you explain the difference between an inker, a color assistant like you what it is what you've been doing right now, right, with Sonic and other franchises? Can you explain that for other people, not for me, because I get that completely.
Yeah, so basically for a I can see your face like, yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
So basically, when it comes to comics, there's a couple of sort of key positions that you need to do to actually get a book out. You have the editor who oversees everything and gets everybody in place, make sure everybody's on time. You have the writer who writes the script and plans out what's going to happen in the issue, and then you have people like the brand ambassadors and representatives. So say like Sega. So if the
Mhm.
script comes in and says like Sonic, tells kids to play in traffic, the brand ambassador is going to come back and say, please don't do that. Right? You can't set stories here. You can't have this happen. You can't have, Sonic can't pull out a gun, right? Things like that. So you write a script and you say, okay, we'd like a story where, Sonic and Tails have a friendly race. They go, yes, okay, that's fine. Sonic can't cheat, things like that. And that gets passed on to the writer, or the writer already knows these things, and they write out a story. The story gets passed on to the penciler, who is the person who actually draws everything.
Mhm.
Um, Usually, the penciler does all of the pencils and everything like that. Sometimes, in some cases, you have somebody do what is called breakdowns, which is laying out the panels and deciding, like translating a script into sort of visual thumbnails to decide, like, oh, this page is going to have 6 panels. The major action is the start of the race, so we want a big panel of the start of the race, and then the smaller actions like them talking or turning a corner might be small actions, so they'll be smaller and things like that. It sounds
Mhm.
really simple to just say page one, Sonic and Tails, run a race and somebody fires the starting pistol, but you have to decide, well, what's the big attention, right? Like, is the
Yeah.
starting gun the focus? Is the starting of the run the focus? Is, the two of them running dramatically towards the camera looking super cool the focus? And so the penciler handles all of that, whether they do breakdowns, which normally now they do, or whether or not they do, somebody else does breakdowns who's a more experienced draftsman, layout person type thing. Uh, Now, more so than usually with the advent of digital, a lot of pencilers just become line artists, which means they ink their own stuff.
Okay.
So since traditionally you would have somebody use pencils and they would draw on a comic board, and those boards would get mailed out to an inker, and the inker would take like an inking pen and go over them and then send them into the company. But now a lot of it is done digitally. The pencilers can just be line artists. So inkers, especially in the case of like what I do, there's a lot fewer of us, because a lot of people, like, if you read the Sonic comics, for example, Adam Bryce Thomas I think now does mostly his own line art. He doesn't need an inker. So there's a, he can just do the whole issue, like from script to finished line art. There's no need for an inker in that regard. Then once the pencils are done, if it's not fully done by the line artist, then it comes to an inker like me. And what we do is we just trace everything and get a paycheck. It's just super lazy work, no skill needed. Turn your brain off, just cheat. Free money. No, but we do a lot. We kept trying to keep everything consistent, and we make it nice for print. And it's also an expedient step. If you're
Mhm.
trying to get a book out on time and you have like a deadline, if I'm inking page one, the penciler can move on to page two. So usually, what happens is, like for example, with the recent Fang the Hunter miniseries, I had a penciler, and they pencil the whole, issue pages, and they send them into the editor. And once the editor approves them, they send them on to me, and then I start inking them. They go back to the editor, then they get sent to the colorist. But if I can start inking as soon as the penciler has finished, theoretically, we cut down the amount of time it takes to make a book from however many days to slightly shorter. So usually
Yeah.
there's a deadline in between, and they give, a couple of weeks in between the pencils and the inks and the colors. But because I have a good relationship with the pencilers on the book for the most part now, I can just hit them up privately and say, send me the pages really quick. And as soon as you finish penciling it, I'll just start inking it. And then if the editor approves it, we'll already be halfway done, and we can just get done as fast as possible. And I
Yeah.
think the editors appreciate that, because, usually the pencilers never have any issues because they're all good at what they do and they know how to do what they do. And so there's very rarely any things where you turn
Changes.
around and say, "Oh no, this page needs changing."
Yeah.
That comes later. That's the fun part. So I ink as fast as I can, and then we move on to the coloring stage. The coloring stage usually starts off with laying in the basic flat colors of each area. So if you have like, Sonic standing in a city, somebody has to go in and color Sonic all the right colors. They color the city in colors, and then they pass that off to the colorist, who then adds the shading and the fancy effects and the rendering and the colors and the gradients, and adds the sunlight and makes everything look fancy.
Okay.
Usually the colorist can do that themselves, but again, much in the same way that the inker and the penciler can work together, colorists can hire what they call flatting assistants. So somebody will come in and just use a fill tool, color in all of the colors in any, in like basic colors, and then pass that over to the colorist, who then does all the magic stuff. So flatters kind of are the unsung heroes of getting a book done, because they don't get credited in the book for the most part. They're usually like a subcontract. So the colorist will get paid a certain amount, and they can choose to then hire an assistant for themselves.
Okay.
But as it happens now, especially with IDW, they're really good for this. They started crediting flatters if we remember to ask.
Okay.
So
okay.
yeah,
like,
so I've worked with a couple
they
of
don't
colorists.
work directly for IDW. They work for
Yeah.
the colorists, right?
Yeah, so like the writer, the penciler, inker, and colorist will all have like a contract with IDW, which says, we'll pay you X amount for X pages to be delivered by X date.
Yeah.
And then the colorists usually go like, because it's not really a job that affects the visual look of the book in any way. Usually the colorist will hand you a palette and say, this is everybody's base color. Just, all the buildings are this gray, all of the streets are this black, all of the skies are this blue. Just fill in all the pages and send it back. So there's no like way for the flatting assistant to put like a signature mark on the book. That's what the colorist will do. So as an inker, I can ruin the book. As a colorist, I can ruin a book. But as a flatting assistant, I can't do anything. It's a safe position.
Yeah.
But it's again, they're the unsung heroes, because it is very labor-intensive work, and it doesn't really get a lot of credit. But like I said, we've been working with some colorists lately to get flatters a little bit of an acknowledgement in the book as like an assistant at least. And that way, it's always cool to see your name in something.
For sure.
So if somebody's been, like I was working as a flatter before I ever got to work as an inker. So like I sort of knew some of the guys who were working on the book. So when they were like, well, do you know anybody who can help out? They were like, well, I know a guy who's always delivered consistently on like flatting assistants. And that helps because, if you can be reliable in anything, you can be reliable in anything.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's
that's your journey then. And
yeah,
always,
I started on
that's your advice, I believe as well. Be reliable.
That's the number one key to anything. People have asked me, they're like, how do you get in? And I was like, well, you just get up every day and act like you would if you had the job. So if you really want to be a penciler, you get up every day and you maybe try and draw a page. And even if, you only have a couple of hours free in the day, you're working a full-time job, you try a little bit and you do like 1 or 2 pages every week or two. And you just keep doing it. And if you have spare time, do what you want to do. And then eventually you'll be spending more time doing that than, your full-time job. And then eventually you transition from whatever your full-time job is to whatever you want to be doing. It's the same with anything. If you want to be, a professional streamer or a professional, anything. Most of the people I know who've got into it, that's how they do it. And a lot of people think comics is this big, impossible hurdle. They think it's this dream, like it's impossible to get into that. And it's not. You just have to get up every day and go, okay, well, what are the people currently doing that do? Well, they get up, they spend 8 hours a day coloring comic books, and then they go to bed. It's like, okay, well, get up and find a comic that needs coloring, find a fan comic, draw your own fan comic, color it every day, take those pages, put them on a portfolio, and keep going. Get better, keep improving, keep finding new things, do it again, do it again. It's what a lot of people realize, but I don't think you really comprehend how much work you have to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to do.
People expect things to happen like magically or something. You have to do the work, right? You have to put in the work to make it happen.
The first time I inked a fan comic, I think I did about 8 pages, and I put them on a portfolio and thought, wow, these are really good. I inked 8 pages. This is really nice artwork. And then, you don't just stop and send those 8 pages to an editor every year. You want to be annoying, but not too annoying. So you do 8 pages, you send them to an editor, and you say, I can ink, look at these. And then you do 8 more pages, and you come back in like 3 or 4 months, and you say, hey, remember me? I did some more. And if you keep doing that, they go, okay, so even without being strung along by anybody, you're still doing it. You've still got the drive to do it. You're still getting better. You're still working it. And that
Hmm.
speaks more volumes than constantly waving the same 8 pages out.
Yeah.
And and then if you can't get in at one company, go find another editor at another company or on another book and say, hey, here's my samples. Ink 8 pages of Sonic, ink 8 pages of Transformers, ink 8 pages of My Little Pony, and just show the editors and just keep going. And eventually you'll get to do it. If you only want to work on a specific title, I think you'll have a lot of a harder time. Like, I lucked out, right? I gunned for Sonic, worked on Sonic stuff, and short of a hiccup of doing Transformers first by accident, I got to do Sonic.
Yeah.
But I would be just as happy working on any other book. I
Hmm.
mean, obviously, it's good to be on what I think is like the only Sega book. So yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. That's great. All right. So, Rick, let's take a quick break here. We'll talk a little bit more about your work because it's time for something. It's time for the Sega Lounge Challenge.
Now that you know our guests, it's time to put them to the test. It's the moment we've waited for and the moment they dread.
Welcome to your doom.
I mean, welcome to the Sega Lounge Challenge.
Oh no!
Yes, it is. So, what is the Sega Lounge Challenge, Rick? I know you're a big Sega fan. So this week, the Sega Lounge Challenge will be the what I usually call like the ultimate Sega fan challenge. Okay, so this is how it works: 10 rounds, questions and music. Okay, for each
I'm
round
gonna
you can
fail.
get up to 2 points. So you get up to 20 points, but a good score is 10, like a safe score 10. Okay,
Okay, so only get half the questions wrong. I got you.
or play with the point system because I'll explain what the point how the point system works. So let's start. I'll explain as we keep going. Round number 1 is a question, and you have the choice between an easy question or a hard question. Easy question 1 point, hard question 2 points. That's it.
Okay.
So would you like to pick easy or hard?
Okay, let's go hard question first because I got nothing to
Oh,
lose.
I like that. I like that.
Once I start losing points, I'll have to play safe. But right now, let's gamble.
I have a few new ones, but let's see. Oh, these are so cruel. Actually, I don't know. Maybe this one is nice. What is Sonic the Hedgehog's height?
You can't see this, but my mind is completely blanking.
I didn't know this until recently. I can give you options if you want to. This is a multiple choice question, actually.
If they're all within the 3 foot range, then you are evil. I know it's 3 foot something.
Is it though?
I don't now. I don't know.
I have the options in centimeters and inches.
Oh no! Oh, dude, that math in my head.
So I'm gonna give you the options then, unless you just like, yeah, I know, and I don't need them. No, no.
The
Okay,
worst part is I have the height charts of all the characters in relation to each other, but I don't remember the actual heights of anybody specifically.
okay. So look, Sonic the Hedgehog's height. Option A, 80 centimeters, which is around 31.5 inches. Option B, 90 centimeters, which is around 35.4 inches. Or option C, 100 centimeters, which is around 39.4 inches.
Yeah, I can't even translate those into feet in my head. Oh my old math teacher would be embarrassed.
So I think I can do that. Let's see. I can actually do that thanks to
Yeah,
our
I
good
don't want
friend.
to. I don't want to touch my computer because then I'll be accused of
So
looking this up.
so 80 centimeters is 2.6 feet. 90, which is option B, is 2.95. And 100 feet is 3.2, 3.3.
Okay, since I led with the 3 foot, let's say 3.2. That sounds a little tall, but I think it's about 3 foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your answer would be 100 centimeters or 39.4 inches or 3.2 foot.
Yes, 3 foot 2 inches
3
shall
foot
be
2
my first
inches.
incorrect answer. Yeah. Let's commit to the bit.
That's your final answer then.
Yes.
No doubts about it. Or many doubts.
Oh,
perhaps.
loads of doubts. Just nothing but doubts. But
okay.
I
Okay.
have a vague ballpark of him being 3 foot in my head. So if it turns out that it's like 2.5, it's like, okay, I won't be too broken up. At least I wasn't completely off.
Mm-hmm. So 90 centimeters is not the correct answer. Okay, so the middle option is not the correct answer. Is it
Who Wants to Be a
80
Millionaire has
or
lost the hosting you.
This is how this works. Your answer, Rik Mack, is incorrect. It was the first one,
Wow.
80 centimeters. I just learned this recently.
Oh no.
Hold up. Editor KC here from the future. 100 centimeters is actually the correct answer. Turns out I can't read my own notes and ended up telling poor Rick he was wrong. Nope, he is indeed correct and gets 2 extra points. So pretend he has 2 more points going forward. In my defense, it was very late. Anyway, let's get back to the episode. But I think you're safe now because coming up next is one of our songs. And what I did was I cut a 10-second long clip of a SEGA song for you. And you have 2 things to guess. The game and either the song title or where it plays in the game. Something that tells me that you know what it is. Okay? 1 point for each thing. 1 point for the game, 1 point for the song. Yeah? Makes sense? Let's take a listen to the first one.
I'm biting my tongue to go with the obvious Radio Sega meme answer of saying that was Afterburner. Because, yeah. Like, oh, that's Afterburner. I know that. So it's Outrun, but this is where it's absolutely going to kick me. I don't remember the title because they all mash together in my head. I have the Data Discs vinyl right on the other side of the room, and I'm like, oh, it's Splash Wave, clearly. It's like, but is it? Is it Magical
I don't know.
Soundshot? Is it?
Is it? Is it another one, though, as well? Could be.
That's the thing. And you're evil and you would trick me. And I always listen to the soundtrack as like one whole thing. I know this is considered quite a heathen considering that you have to like pick one when you start the game, but I always just put the album on. You can't
As you
pick
should.
between Outrun tracks.
They're all great. They're all great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can have favorites, but they're all great. Yeah. Even the Mega Drive version had an extra song that is great as well. Not saying that this one.
I was going to say
bad,
I was waiting for that to be that. That's the hint that was the trick question that you're going to gotcha me with in a second.
I'm not saying it is, but it could be.
I'm also going to take this opportunity to say that the 3D version on the 3DS of this was absolutely fantastic.
Yes, it has 2 new songs as well.
Yeah, I know.
One has a Spanish title, Camino a mi amor. Not saying that this one is that is either. Okay, so yeah.
No, I know it's not that one.
Don't mistake this for a hint.
I know.
So it's Outrun. That's the game,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Hooray, 1 point. Yes.
I don't know. I'm
Outrun.
not saying, and I'm not telling you that right now. So just
You
try
really.
to point you in the right direction. So Outrun, you've decided it's Outrun, and that's like locked
It's
in,
like
right?
trying to get blood out of a stone with you, isn't it? Trying to get these points up. Yeah,
So
it's
what's the
Outrun.
song? What's the song?
Let's go with Magical Sound Shower.
Okay.
I don't have confidence in that answer 100%, but it has to be one of them.
Okay. So final answer, right? Magical Sound Shower,
Yeah.
Outrun. Outrun is the game. Yes. Is the
Yeah.
song for 1 extra point. Magical Sound Shower? I can tell it's not Splash Wave. I can tell you it's not Step on Beat, which is the Mega Drive exclusive one.
Yeah.
It's Passing Breeze. Still 1 point. Your first point. And points are indeed precious in the Sega Launch Challenge. So good job. 1 point. Good start. Let's go back to questions. So easy or hard, Rick?
Ooh.
1 point or 2?
Go for hard. I got to make up.
Okay.
If I go down, I'm going to go down swinging.
Okay, let's do. I have so many new good ones. But they're so hard. Okay. I'm going to go with this one. Are you familiar with the Bonanza Bros? Bonanza Brothers? No. Okay, good. The question is, what is the name of the Bonanza Brothers? I can give you options if you want. This is another question that has multiple choice, actually.
See, I know it's the security experts who are blue and red that wear the sunglasses because they're not criminals. That would be illegal. So they're security testing experts.
Exactly.
But I don't remember the name of them.
Do you want options?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
it's not.
Okay, they're all very similar, but let's see if you can get the correct answer. So the options are A, Foco and Loco. B, Mobo and Robo. C, Rolo and Polo. And because you don't remember anything that I just said, I will say them again. Foco and Loco, Mobo and Robo, Rolo and Polo.
Let's go with B.
B, Mobo and Robo.
Yeah.
Why?
It sounds vaguely familiar. When I was a kid, I always got them confused with the Blues Brothers, so I always knew them as Jake and Elwood. And then every now and then in my head, it crosses over with Bob and Bob from Bobble Bobble. So I'm like, so I think the B from Bob and Bob is leading this decision.
Okay.
Because
So
I always called them Jake and Elwood. I never knew the real names. I used to rent them, and they never had a manual.
Point. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I always used to rent the game, and it never had a manual, so that's my excuse.
Okay. So, Mobo and Robo is your answer for this question for 2 points, maybe, or maybe not.
Yeah.
Your answer, Rick, is correct. Yes, 2 points. Well done. Mobo and Robo were the security experts. They're not thieves, not robbers.
If you'd have asked me the job, which is an arguably harder question, I would have got the trick. But the names, no, complete blank.
Okay, time for another song. I think this is really easy, I think. Let's take a listen, shall we?
So I'm going to go with Launch Base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that a
Yeah, I'm
game?
pretty sure it's launch base. Oh, so here's the trick though. Are you going to separate out Sonic 3 and Knuckles into two separate games and ask me to decide which one, or do I just get to say Sonic 3 and Knuckles because they were technically one game?
Up to you. If you want to make
Okay.
things harder, you can separate them. But
Oh no 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 no!
if you
I'll go.
separate them, you have to give me the right one. If it is indeed one of those games, I'm
No,
not
I'll
saying
take
it
the
is.
cheap score. Like I said, I never owned Sonic any. I never owned any of the good Sonic games as a kid, so I gotta go with Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and go with Launch Base Zone. Yeah.
Okay. Act 1 or Act 2, by the way?
Oh, I wouldn't have a clue. I'd hesitate to say Act 2, but
Okay. I'm not gonna go that into this.
the hand is
I don't
sparing me.
think this part of of the song I don't think it's possible to get it from this particular part of the song. So this is the same between the two. But your answer is Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Launch Base Zone. Yeah?
Yeah.
So it is Launch Base Zone. 1 point. Is it Sonic 3 and Knuckles though?
I was literally just going like, was it in Mania? Was it? Was it?
It is, yes. Sonic 3, to be more precise. But yeah, that's it. Good job. 2 points. Well done. Very good. So 4 points so far. That's amazing. You're crushing this. Slow, like not the best start, but
Oh.
yeah. Okay. So now I have something new. I've been doing this every so often, back of the box, and I've incorporated this into the ultimate fan challenge. And so rounds 5 and 9 will be back of the box rounds. They're worth 2 points. What is back of the box? I literally went into the back of a box of a Sega game, and what I'm going to say, or I'm going to read actually, is the description of the game from the back of the box. I'm going to redact some
Nice.
words, and you have to guess the game. Does it sound easy?
No. Sounds
Good.
good though.
Good. Okay. Ready for your first back of the box for 2 points?
Hit me.
You are redacted. Master redacted. You are one of the mystic warriors who see and know all things. You are deadly. Now you must destroy the vicious army of redacted. If you fail, then redacted, their beautiful prisoner, dies. So once more, you are redacted, master redacted. You are one of the mystic warriors who see and know all things. You are deadly. Now you must destroy the vicious army of redacted. If you fail, then redacted, their beautiful prisoner, dies.
Okay.
Any clues? Any guess?
I have one wild card guess and one that I think is probably more likely to be true.
Okay.
So
Hit me.
I'm gonna go with the more likely one. I think is gonna be Revenge of Shinobi.
What's the wild
Because-
card guess?
Chakan the Forever Man. Because I don't think there was a. I don't think you rescue somebody in Chakan. I think you just win your freedom or win your immortality or something like that.
I think you win your mortality, actually.
Yeah.
He's already, he wants to die.
Yeah, it's not a very happy game.
And it's hard as nails.
Yeah. I that was one of those games that you have as a kid, and it's like, yeah, I'll buy you a new game as soon as you beat that one.
Tough luck. Okay, so your answer is?
Yeah, Shot in the Dark will go with Revenge of Shinobi.
Why, by the way?
I know at the end of Shinobi you have to rescue somebody, and then Master something just sounds like Master Ninja, and I've been listening to the soundtrack a lot, so it's kind of just one of the first things that pops into mind.
Okay. So the correct answer is, unfortunately, The Revenge of Shinobi. Yes. Well done. 2 points.
Oh,
You are
not bad.
Musashi, Master Ninja. You are one of the mystic warriors who see and know all things. You are deadly. Now you must destroy the vicious army of Neo Zed. If you fail, then Naoko, their beautiful prisoner, dies. The Revenge of Shinobi. 2 points, Rick. Good job. And that's 6. Well done. Well done.
Hooray! I haven't completely flubbed it.
I don't think I would have gotten this one, to be honest. Good thing it's not me here on the line or my reputation.
Yeah, no pressure, no pressure.
Let's go with round 6, which is another song. Are you ready? No,
Yeah.
you're not. Let's take a listen.
You know, I have friends who will be screaming at me for this.
So, gaming song.
I'm gonna go with Sonic Unleashed. I can hear the screaming now. But the song title is what gets me.
Or where it plays, or something that tells me that you know what it is.
I think it's the day stage of the first city, but I can't remember the name, if it's Apatos or if it's a different one, because I didn't play. I had the Wii version of Unleashed, and that is my excuse for why I didn't play it as much as most people probably played Sonic Unleashed. Because if you played the Wii version, you know. But that was my.
I would
Apparently, it
argue
has a bad
it's.
reputation.
I would argue that it's is better than the others in some regards, though.
That's how I would say, but I have friends who yell at me every time I say
Really?
that, so I gave up.
Especially
gave up that one.
Eggman Land is much better in the Wii version.
See, the thing is I haven't played the other version to compare it, so I kind of
Yeah.
just, I watched the cutscenes in nice crispy HD, but I didn't actually play through the game on other systems. I think I ended up buying it for the 360, but I never got around to playing it. But yeah, I think it's the first stage, like the first city.
So Apatos would be the first stage, like the Greece-like one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that, but I cannot be, like, I can't, I wouldn't put money on it. Like,
Okay. So you're saying Sonic Unleashed, Apatos, Day Stage. Day Stage.
Yeah.
Okay. Not the Werehog.
no, not the jazz song.
Not just jazz song.
The jazz fighting song.
Okay.
Yeah.
So final answer, right? I can lock this in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Sonic Unleashed is indeed the correct end game. 1 point. However, is it Apatos or Windmill Isle, as the stage is called? Day? No. It's Rooftop Run. Day. The one with all the balloons and on the rooftops, right? So it's another
See, I
another stage.
I still would have thought that was the first stage.
It's probably the most recognizable one because it's the one in Generations as well, and the song as well is like probably the most famous one.
The trick there is me trying to remember the name of all the cities in the game, and the title wasn't the name of a city. That is exactly how things go my way.
But still, 1 point. 1 point. That's not bad at all. So let me just do some quick math. So 3, 5, 8. No, wait. 3, 5, 7.
I'll take the 8.
8, yeah. It's 8, isn't it? Or is it 7? Oh, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 8. Yes. 8. That's amazing. 2 left to our minimum of 10. So we have 4 rounds left, Rick. Round 7 is another question. Easy or hard?
Okay, I'm gonna go with easy this time because I don't think I'm gonna get the second back of the box, so I'm counting that one already as a loss.
Oh, God. Okay. So let's go with easy. And that's a good pick. Let's go with easy. A Shenmue question. In the original Shenmue game, Nozomi helps her grandmother run what kind of shop?
Oh, a flower shop. She's a florist. That was good. I like that one. More like that one, yeah.
You sound like pretty sure of yourself right now.
Yeah. I know that one. I was really for a second I thought you were going to consider something easy like the phone numbers, and I was like, oh no, like I don't know the phone number for the shop.
So I can lock in flower shop.
Yeah.
No questions about it whatsoever.
See, I know this, and you still got me questioning myself.
No, I'm just giving you the chance to think about it. Because it would suck that you were like, oh, that's so easy, and then get it wrong. So I'm just thinking about your well-being. And again, your reputation as a Sega fan. Yeah. So flower shop?
Absolutely insidious. Absolutely.
Just a simple question. Flower shop, yes or no? Just a simple question.
Menace to the airwaves. It's a yes. It's a florist.
Yes.
I can
Never
see the
question
little
yourself.
glint in your eyes.
Never question yourself.
I can see that little glint, that evil little shine behind the eyes. That's like, I got you. You're gonna make me twist in the wind.
Good job. 9 points. 9 points. So 1 point left. 3 rounds left as well.
Okay.
Question or round 8 is the last song. Okay? So let's take a good hard listen to this.
Ugh.
Whatever this is, it's really good.
Is that you saying that the game is really good?
The song.
Ah.
Maybe the game too. I don't know.
This is another one that's going to get me yelled at.
Maybe not. I don't know. So any kind of idea, any kind of like guess?
Either Sonic 4 or Sonic Superstars.
You want me to play it again?
I don't know if that'll help because it's a similar. I know the vibe of it, and I don't know if it's been that long since I played Sonic 4 that I don't really remember all of the music too well. And I've only recently played Superstars, and I kind of did that in one big stint. And there's a couple of key tracks, and I know it's not any of those, but I know it's a boss fight, so I'm going to assume it's Superstars. But the trick is, I don't know if it's like the reverse Death Egg stage or one of the 3 final bosses. Spoilers. But it's got that vibe to it, right? If you haven't played Superstars by now, I'm not getting told off for you not finishing the game. But I genuinely can't remember like where I would put it.
I don't know. I mean, I do, but I'm not telling you.
You do, yeah. You do. Well, you do. Yeah.
So what's your guess, Rick?
Let's go with Superstars, and let's say if I just say the final boss, can that count as all 3? Because it's probably not.
You say
I'm gonna miss. It's gonna be like the first mini boss, and I'm gonna.
You say what you want to say. I just.
Okay, let's go.
You
Yeah,
do
Sonic
you.
Superstars, the final boss.
Okay, final answer, right? Locked in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to get to 10.
Okay.
Just can't let the side down.
So, it is not the final boss. No. Is it Sonic Superstars, though? It is not. It is
Oh.
not. So this is called Whirlwind, and it's round 4-1 of Shinobi 3 Return of the Ninja Master on the Mega Drive.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Iconic, though. Iconic song. just for everyone's enjoyment. Great. Great stuff. No?
You cannot see my face, but I am absolutely flabbergasted.
Yeah.
Like, I know that song. I have that soundtrack.
I
Like, I have
know.
it.
I know.
And
Which is why I
I
picked
know it,
this.
but for some reason, my brain just read that as Sonic 4. And I thought, no, Sonic 4 is a double bluff. He'll be trying to get me with Superstars.
I mean,
I fell for
Sonic
that
Sonic
hook, line, and sinker.
4
Well done.
Sonic 4 wishes it had as good as a soundtrack as Shinobi 3 has. So I mean, yeah. I consider Yuzo Koshiro
I want this whole
like
segment
offended
redacted.
right now with this answer.
I know. I feel so bad. Oh.
Okay, so
Have to
no
buy
points
another
there.
copy of the,
Points there. But we still have back of the box. You were thinking like, oh, I need to avoid back of the box, but you'll have to deal with it. I think it's easy though, if you think about it. So back of the box, final one, round 9. Immerse yourself in an unparalleled 3D flying experience. Redacted delivers a truly amazing virtual world of Redacted, filled with unbelievable real-time effects, fantastic creatures, and nightmarish monsters. And then there's a little bullet point below it that says dozens of camera angles, never seen before effects, and 3D positional sound. And I don't think this helps, but this is from the US box, by the way. The first one was from the PAL region box. This is from the US box.
Okay.
So I'm going to read it again. Immerse yourself in an unparalleled 3D flying experience. Redacted delivers a truly amazing virtual world of Redacted, filled with unbelievable real-time effects, fantastic creatures, and nightmarish monsters. And then dozens of camera angles, never seen before effects, and 3D positional sound.
Funny enough, it's the 3D positional sound that sounds like the biggest clue. But I am a complete blank.
So not to help you, because I'm not here for that, but what kind of era are we talking about here from this description?
To me, it sounds... It could be late Mega Drive, but for some reason I keep thinking Sega Saturn.
Okay.
But I'm trying to think specifically of a flying game.
Keep going, then, in that direction.
Unless the nightmare creatures are literally the clue that it's nights. It seems like an obvious trap that I'm walking into. Because
I don't
know if I'd
do
say,
traps. That's not me at all.
Because I don't know if I'd describe nights as having that many camera angles.
Dozens of camera angles.
I
Never seen
know.
before effects. 3D positional sound.
Yeah.
An unparalleled 3D flying experience. Could be Microsoft Flying Simulator or Flight Simulator.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know if it's... I wouldn't say it was something like Space Harrier or Afterburner. 3D. Because the 3D sound implies that you need to track things that are behind you, which means you're getting attacked by something, and nothing at nights actually attacks you. Apart from, like, the bosses, but that wouldn't be... I don't think that would be back of the box worthy.
The thing with US boxes is you usually only get one language, so you have more room to work with. And in PAL regions, you had like English, Spanish, French, German, so Italian sometimes. So you had to like do a very brief description. So that's why they have to like maybe make stuff up.
See, now this sounds like you're being nice, and this is a clue that, like, yes, it is nights. You're on the right track. And then on the other hand, this is just like, well...
I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about here. I just needed an answer.
Let's go with nights. 3D, unparalleled, like dozens of camera angles. Yeah, why not?
Woo, like
I would
flying
consider
around.
Nights a flying game that has nightmarish creatures in it. And
Yep.
if I fall for that trap, I don't think I would be the only one, so I don't feel too bad.
Okay. So Knights is your answer for this.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes. So the correct description is immerse yourself in an unparalleled 3D flying experience. Knights delivers a truly amazing virtual world of dreams. Filled with unbelievable real-time effects, fantastic creatures, and nightmarish monsters. I redacted the nights and the dreams for obvious reasons. But I kept the nightmarish monsters in there because I thought it was generic enough to keep you guessing, and I was right. But good job. Good job.
Yeah, if I hadn't had the flying part, I would have thought it was maybe something like Blue Stinger. But and also, now that I'm out of the spotlight, I can thank you for not squeezing the extra juice out of that by asking me whether it was the original game or the Wii game, because they probably have both similar box. Like
no, because we said Saturn before you said Saturn. So yeah, Knights. Okay, good job. So that means 11 points, right? So good job.
I can fail now.
Job.
I can fail now.
Yes, you can fail in the last question, which is always hard. Last question is always a hard question. So this is for glory, for 13 points. It's not every day that someone leaves the Sega Launch Challenge with 13 points, so it could be a historical moment. But let's go with the hard question. And this is a really hard question.
Okay.
It really is. I think. I don't know. So, are you familiar with Sonic Shuffle for the Dreamcast?
Yes.
Yes? Oh, nice.
Yes.
So maybe it's easy. In Sonic Shuffle for the Dreamcast, a billboard for a product, Uncle Boy, briefly appears during the Twister minigame. What kind of product is Uncle Boy?
Oh, I haven't got the faintest.
I really recently learned that this is some sort of a meme in some Sonic community circles. And I had no clue about this. So I thought this is a perfect Sega Launch Challenge question. What the hell is Uncle Boy is what I'm asking, Rick. What kind of product would it be?
I was keying up in my head that, oh, it's Luna Flowlight and the Dream stuff. No, not the name of the characters. No, in one mini game, in one background, there's one billboard for one product.
Uncle Boy.
It sounds like it should be a novelty Game Boy, right? Instead of the Game Boy to have the Uncle Boy.
Okay. Could be.
It sounds like a parody of Game Boy for like old people. Uncle Boy. It's not going to be like a food or a drink.
Could be.
It could be like a game?
Could also be.
Just so you know, this whole meme obviously hasn't reached whatever circles I'm part of, and if it has, again, they'll all be screaming at me now over the wire.
I found this out by accident as well.
I'm really bad when it comes to memes. Like I don't retain them very well. There's so many, they change every week. But by the time a meme comes out and I've had it twice, I'm done with it, and then I just forcibly eject it from my memory.
So what do you think? If you had to
boy.
guess, and you do,
I'm gonna go with a cartoon, like a TV show. But that's not a product, is it? I guess it is.
it can be advertised. So technically,
It can be, but I think I'm just picking that up because instead of going with a Game Boy, I'm now thinking of Astro Boy. And I keep thinking of the Astro Boy parodies like Hero Boy, and it's like, well, maybe it's Uncle Boy, but that doesn't make any sense. It's like a Freaking Friday movie where two people switch bodies.
could be.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with cartoon. It's probably gonna be something like an action figure, but I can't think of why that would be meme worthy unless it's something really terrible, like a toy that's an old man boy. Like I don't get it.
Okay. So a cartoon is your answer.
Yeah, yeah.
For
I'm
glory.
sorry, guys. For a complete shot in the dark. Is it
lack
Shinobi
thereof.
3?
So the answer cartoon is incorrect.
Yeah. There was no way it was gonna be that.
In the chat box, you can see a link that I just sent you. It's an energy drink.
Ah, really?
Uncle Boy Muscular Drink. It's the name of the product. Why is it Uncle Boy? And you can see like the face of a very muscular man with like an afro drinking a can of Uncle Boy. Why? No one knows. It is just a thing. Okay, so Uncle Boy Muscular Drink is the product, the energy drink of the future, I'm sure. So yeah, no points, but that doesn't matter because you got 11 points in the end, which is great, Rick. Well done.
Oh no!
Editor KC again. He actually got 13 points. Hooray! What a score! And you get the official Sega Lounge seal of approval. Well done. Well done.
Hooray! Was the
job.
10 the benchmark to get the seal of approval?
Yes, yes. Lower than 10 gets you nothing. Gets you just shame.
Get you the door.
Yes. Public humiliation. Okay, thank you. Thank you for playing the game. Great job. Before I let you go, though, not only have you worked or are you working, like have you been working on Sonic, on the Sonic comic, you've worked on other franchises as well. You've mentioned Transformers. Would you like to tell us other like comics you've worked on?
Yeah, so I did. It's a handful of pages on Transformers, Transformers Wars End issue 4 when IDW were publishing that. I'm just currently wrapping up, or have just wrapped up on the Fang the Hunter issue 4 miniseries, which I handed in the inks for recently. Yeah, I got to work on Sonic's 900th adventure with a whole bunch of people, which was really cool. And we got me, Mauro Fonseca, and Reggie Graham, who had all sort of done a little bit of work for Sonic the Comic Online. And we got to work on the part of the issue that was scripted by Nigel Kitching of STC fame. And also one of the variant covers was done by Richard Elson. So there is a Richard Elson covered comic that I got to work on. So technically I got to work with two of the guys from STC, which was a big highlight. I got to color 3 issues of the Felix the Cat comic book for the... Well, it was supposed to be, I think, for the 100th anniversary, but ended up being closer to the 104th anniversary. But that was, I mean, how many characters have lasted over 100 years? And I got to work on a couple issues of Felix. That was really cool. Mm-hmm. At the minute, I've been helping doing some flatting work, some assisting work for an issue of Godzilla that's coming up. But the flatting stuff is just helping out friends, basically. Like, I don't consider putting that on my resume and saying, hey, I mean, technically I've touched the Godzilla book. And I have a cover coming up soon. Ooh. But I don't know if I should say what my cover is for, or if I should keep it a secret surprise.
Redacted.
So I have a cover coming up for
Cowabunga!
which will be very
Ooh.
cool. So I don't know when that's coming out, but that should be this year. But that's
Oh,
been
that's
really
amazing.
exciting to work on. They let me draw something, not
Oh,
just ink
amazing.
something or color something. I got to do my own cover from
Hmm.
scratch, and it's all mine. And I get to print it out super big and put it on a banner and go to conventions and say I did that. So that'll be cool.
Awesome.
I'm
Awesome.
looking
That's
forward to that.
amazing. That's amazing. Awesome. Excellent. What would you say if you had to pick all these issues you've worked on and all these things, what would be like the highlight so far?
Oh, that's really tricky. I think it would probably. I'm going to go with the Tales 30th anniversary special because up until that point, I'd done like helping. So it was like I did 6 pages of Transformers, I think 8 or 10 pages for some Sonic issues as like a help. But the Tales 30th, they got me to do the whole thing. So I inked the whole Tales 30th anniversary special and I went from like 6 pages and 8 pages to a full 30. And that was a big deal. And it was
Yeah.
just the three of us doing the art for that. So it was like a 4-person squad, and that was really cool. And it's Tails' special. He's
Yeah.
little bro got his own special, and it was a big anniversary book, and that was very cool. And I know some people who really like the Tails Game Gear games got a kick out of it because you got to see characters from the you got to see like Wendy Witch Carter and stuff like that from the Game Gear games, and that was fun.
Mhm.
As much as I should say 900 because I got to work with all the STC guys, I know I already gave them a shout out, so that's my excuse for not using that there.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No,
that was
no, no
especially fun.
problem. No problem. I think, yeah, yeah. I think that's a major highlight. Like it's like a big uh, landmark project for you as well, right? So like that's big for
Yeah,
you.
I gotta hand it to IDW and the editorial, especially like David Marriott, like giving me the chance to do something like that. I think when it came up that they were doing the 900th adventure, there was a lot of like it must have been a headache to manage because like there's like 30 people who worked on it and there's like a whole bunch of segments. It's like a bumper issue where every 6 pages is a different team. And when somebody said, "Hey, we're getting the British guys in," I think somebody stepped in and went, "Hey, we've got a couple of people who were actually, grew up reading Fleetway in here. Like, get them on that pot specifically." So that was really cool for them to think of me in that way instead of just being like, "Oh, get him to help out." It's like, no, he's a Brit. He would know these guys. Get him on that part of the book. So like, I can actually go to next time I'm back home in the UK, I can go up to them, Elson and Kitching, and be like, "Can you sign this, please? Because I worked on this with you," and that's super cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
really something to be proud of. I'm sure. Yeah. Awesome.
yeah, it's crazy.
Awesome. Okay. What would be like your of all the stuff that you haven't done yet? I'm sure that you've like you would like to do some stuff that you haven't done yet. What would be like the dream going forward?
Comic Zone adaptation. I want to draw a Comic Zone.
Ooh.
I know there's a movie in the works. I have like obviously nothing has been confirmed because I don't think they're making a movie. But any chance I get in any conversation where it comes up with anybody at IDW I can speak to, I ask, "Can we do a Comic Zone adaptation?" I'm pushing for it. I want it. I see the Axel toys that just came out in that they've just started doing the Monkey Ball and the Axel toys.
Yeah,
Sega,
yeah.
they're
And
leveraging some
Altered
of the
Beast
older
as well.
properties. I know that there's apparently a Comic Zone movie in the works. I don't know if it's
Mhm.
in development. I don't know if it's stuck or it's going to get made. But if that ever comes out, I'm going to be first in line to be banging on the door to work on that in some capacity. I think that would be fantastic.
It's like a no-brainer, right? Comic Zone should be a comic.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I mean, I think in more ambitious pitches, I would use it to say, let's do like a Sega tour and have like Sketch go to different properties from Sega that you could use him as like a gateway character to be like, oh, this week he, jumps into the pages of Altered Beast, or this week it's Golden Axe, and use that as a way to introduce other characters if Sega were willing to like let all the licenses play in the same book. I know that's highly unlikely because it's probably a red tape nightmare, but you could do a
Yeah.
Comic Zone book.
Yeah.
Especially if the movie comes out, because I know a lot of people
Mhm.
might not be super familiar with the original game, but once the movie comes out, that could get an adaptation. The Sonic movie got a comic book adaptation. I got
Mhm.
to help out on that one too. But it would be really cool if Comic Zone. I mean, if you make a Comic Zone movie, how can you not make a comic book adaptation?
True.
Really? Like
Yeah.
that's
Doesn't make any sense. I mean, even if it's just like a one-off, um,
yeah,
it's about a comic, so it's a no-brainer, I
yeah.
think.
Like when
Yeah.
they did the Sonic movie, they gave away the Sonic. I think it was when Sonic the movie 2 came out. There was a Sonic
Hmm.
like in between prequel comic,
Yeah.
and they just gave it away. So it's not even like you need to worry about charging for it. Just give it as a door prize. Give people a
Hmm.
poster and a comic book, and they'll all go see it.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course, I would
Maybe
say that because I want there to be a comic black and white.
even if it's they could start with like what they did with the STC ones. They had like short uh stories with other characters like Echo and was there a Comic Zone one? I don't know. I don't think so.
There was a Kid Chameleon one. I
There
think you
was a
might be thinking
Kid
of that
Chameleon.
one.
Yeah, there was Echo. I think so. Maybe
Yeah,
do
you get
something
like
like
Eternal
that.
Champions and Streets of Rage and Golden
Yeah,
Axe and Wonder Boy.
do one of those, like one a little really like short, like one or two pages to test the waters.
Well, the fun thing is, if you saw, I imagine you probably saw the recent announcement of the Sparkster collection.
Yeah.
So that's getting a reprint of the Sonic the Comic Fleetway Sparks the Comic adaptation that's going to be included with those copies.
Hmm.
So if they ever decided to do, I don't think you do a Comic Zone collection. It's only one game. But if you ever like did another Sega collection or a reprint or something like that, or like an STI collection and just do like Comic Zone and Ooze and stuff, uh, you could include a little 6-page comic book with that, like they did with the original, a little manual type thing.
That would be
Just,
nice.
just somebody, Sega, please, come on. Like when Dot Emu and Lizard Cube eventually do a Comic Zone remake, nudge, nudge, guys, ahem, ahem.
That would be awesome. Yeah, right. It like try to different style. Like
I
would be
understand
really
you want to go
nice.
with Shinobi first, guys. We're all totally pretending you're not doing the new Shinobi, but when you finished with that, could you please do
Are we
Comic Zone?
though? Are we though? I don't
I would
think
put money on that.
I don't think they are even. I like even their like recent tweets and stuff. Like, unless they're like trolling us hard and they know people are thinking that and just are toying with us. But I don't think it's.
If they
It
don't,
just
then they owe me
screams
one sketch.
Lizard Cube.
It does, and if they don't end up doing it, then I demand one Sketch Turner Streets of Rage 4 skin.
Oh,
Let me rephrase that. Yeah, and if they're not doing the new Shinobi, I demand a Streets of Rage 4 like DLC, like a skin for Sketch Turner.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Or even like make a new Comic Zone, just like
That's
right
what I
off the bat.
want.
Right off the bat.
That's what I
Yeah,
think they should do. That Wonder Boy remake was fantastic, and I think you could
yeah,
easily do that with Comic Zone and keep the mechanics the same.
for sure.
And just update it. And their art style's already nailed it. I'd love to see them do Altered Beast too. I think they should just do like a Sega Mega game and just do a bunch of the belt scrollery type games.
That would
They've
be
got the
awesome.
engine.
Even Golden Axe as well would be nice in that art style. I think. Yeah.
It'd fit, right? Like
Hmm.
you take a
Hmm.
game like Marvel Ultimate Alliance or something where they just throw everything in and go through it all and do it in a comic booky style. And maybe that could be the sketch game where he just gets thrown through all the old Sega properties.
See, yeah, like an All Stars racing, but instead of racing, it's like Comic Zone, like Sketch Turner just going into every Sega franchise and beating up the bad guys.
Yeah, yeah, like All Stars beat 'em up.
All Stars
Yeah, you'd have to call
Zone,
it something else.
Comic Zone,
Oh,
All Stars Brawler. I don't know.
well, we got the Capcom Belt Action Scroller collection or something, so maybe we'll just call it the Sega Belt Action something.
Yeah, we have to put Sonic in there because they think nothing. It just sells if they put Sonic. So it's Sonic and Sega All Stars Belt something collection.
I couldn't even think, like, you'd have to use like Sonic Battle Sprites or something. I don't think you could use the Sega Sonic the Hedgehog isometric. It wouldn't work. But I don't think there's been a straight fighting game type thing you could plant them in. It'd be too much like a Mugen ROM hack.
Okay, so Rick, it's been a lot of fun talking to you. I have one last question for you, which is the last question that I ask everyone. Are you familiar with blast processing?
Yes.
So if you could add blast processing to anything in the world, what would it be and why?
Well, my bank balance, obviously. I would add blast processing to my brain so I could witness the might of blast processing all the time in everything I do. And maybe I could get some work done a little bit faster.
Okay, very good.
But really,
Inking
my bank
all the
balance.
pages, but really your bank balance. Yes, of course, of course. So, yeah, like e-banking of the future with
Yeah.
blast processing.
I think I already have a 16-bit brain. It wouldn't help me too much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rik. Thank you for coming. So, where can people find you, by the way, if they want to follow you? We'll leave the links in the show notes, but just...
Yeah, my website is rikdraws.com. I'm in the middle of actually putting that together today, funny enough. But basically any platform Rik Draws, RIKDRAWS, that'll be me. I'm on Twitter, X, Blue Sky, co-host, Mastodon, Newgrounds, Deviant. It doesn't matter. If you see somebody on a site, it's probably me. I'm not cool enough to get identity thefted.
No C. No C.
Yes.
Just
yeah.
RIK.
I don't. Yeah.
Okay, Rik, thank you very much for coming. It was a blast talking to you. No pun intended.
Yeah, pleasure.
No, not a blast processing, just blast. And all the best for your comic book endeavors. I'm sure we'll see more of you in years to come.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Thank
really,
you very
really nice.
much.
Really happy for your success and your recognition as well.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I hope to be back someday with more news. Hopefully when the Comic Zone adaptation comes out, I'd love to come back and be like, hey, guess what?
Yes, that's it. You're coming back for that for sure. And I'm going to say, you knew something. And you were trolling me back then, but you knew something was up.
Honestly, if there was any news, I guarantee you I would be talking about it right now. Like NDAs or no NDAs, I would be screaming it from the rooftops.
That's it for Rik. Be sure to follow him on social media and catch up with all his projects. I'm really proud of what he's achieved, and I'm sure we'll keep hearing about him in the comic scene in years to come. Maybe even working on that Comic Zone comic. Who knows? Unfortunately, this means it's time to close the doors of the Sega Lounge for another week. If you're new around here, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and do please stick around for more. We've got many episodes, 10 years worth of them in fact, with a bunch of interesting guests and some pretty cool roundtable discussions. If you're a regular, thank you for listening to the show throughout the years. It really means a lot. And be sure to tell everyone about it. I hope you have a great week, and remember, I'll be back next time with another guest. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye. The Sega Lounge, hosted by me, KC, and part of Radio Sega's network of live shows and podcasts. Theme song and incidental music by OSC. Got any suggestions? Drop me an email to podcast@thesegalounge.com. Find us at The Sega Lounge on X, Twitter, and Instagram, at thesegalounge.com on Blue Sky, and be sure to check out our Twitch and YouTube channel for live video content. You can find previous episodes of the show by going to thesegalounge.com, on the Terra Player app, and wherever you listen to podcasts. A Mixed On Productions podcast.